everybody, and welcome back to Movie and a Hunt. I'm RJ.
I'm Paige.
And today we are talking about Evil Dead 2, which, going into this movie, I don't have a lot of expectations. My expectations is just, I don't want this to be reasons why we should never watch the first movie and should just skip the second movie, part 5.
That might be the case.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Listen. Every time we do a franchise outside of Scream was the outlier of this, but like every other franchise we've done, it's always been you didn't need to watch the first movie. You could just skip to the second.
So I have some fun facts about the movie. They wanted to make Army of Darkness, basically, right? And they needed money, so they went to a producer or whatnot, and they were like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Cool. I was recommended to you by Stephen King. Apparently, he really loved your first movie, Evil Dead." And he's like, Sam is like, "Oh, cool, awesome." The producer was like, "Hey, do you want to do one of Stephen King's books? Like, do you want to do a movie of it?" And Sam was like, "No." And the guy's like, "Cool, I still like you. Here's money." And basically do Evil Dead, but again, or, basically the same type of thing, and then you can do your little medieval shit. And so Sam's like, okay, since they didn't have the rights to the Evil Dead film, like the footage, they had to reshoot a lot of the first movie. So a good portion of this is basically the first movie, but with different footage. So it's a remake, but also a sequel. It's wild.
I was going to say, this trailer, I was like, okay, we're on brand from what I expect out of Evil Dead. Yeah. We saw the little that little sussy skeleton at the end with the eyeballs being like, you sure you want to watch this?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is they John Carpentered him?
Yeah. Legit. Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's a little later, but it's around the same time period. Yeah.
It's even weird because this is exactly how they got... This is like the exact thing they did to John Carpenter in the sense of he did Halloween, wanted to make it an anthology, but I think that's the difference was he wanted to continue it regardless, which he ended up... The next movie he wanted to do was actually Halloween 3.
Right.
But they were like, hey...
They wanted to do Army of Darkness.
Exactly. But they were like, no, actually, we want Michael again. So, and he was like, I don't want to do Michael. And they were like, fine. If you make this one, we'll just write you the check for as much as you want. And you can make Halloween 3 whatever the fuck you want it, but you got to make Halloween 2 this first.
Yeah.
And he was like, fuck, if it's a blank check, sure.
Yeah, that's basically it. They did get a little bit more money for Evil Dead 2, so the special effects and a lot of camera work is a lot better, which is great. It was about 6 years in between. So that's really great.
It said 4 years.
Oh, it is?
The trailer said 4.
Oh, well, whatever. So that's cool. It's technically better. They have most of the same crew, a little bit, a couple of new people. The same special effects came back, which was great. I don't know how you're going to feel about it.
I just don't want this to be a thing where we watch the movie and he's like, this is my sister. And I'm like, no, no. Listen, if he's like, this is my girlfriend, I'll just be like, okay, you didn't learn your lesson the last time where don't bring your girlfriend to the creepy cabin in the woods. She's usually going to try to kill you.
Right.
But if they're like, this is my sister, I'll be like, no. Here's the thing. If they pull that, if this is my sister and it's a new sister, this movie gets an automatic 1 out of 10.
No, see, because it's technically a remake, but also a sequel, but basically a remake. So I don't even know if it's the same cast. It might not be.
Please don't let this... Because if you're like, this is a remake, I'm like, it's the second movie.
Well, he had to remake it. He couldn't use the footage from the first one.
True, but listen, I'm just saying... I saw this trailer. It doesn't look like the first movie.
Exactly. But they literally said, they were like, basically remake Evil Dead. And he's like, okay, I guess. They forced his hand. I mean...
So this is quite literally a conversation of you and I. Judas! Okay, I guess. Sure.
Sure, whatever.
What? As long as I can do whatever I want after I'm done with this dumb shit, sure. Yeah, let's do it.
But, I mean, let's give it a shot. Let's roll into it and see what you think.
I will say the slight concern I have is this was the one I couldn't finish the first time I watched it because it was so... I got to the point where he was in the house alone going fucking cuckoo for the Cocoa Puffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I turned it off because I was like, this is getting too weird.
Well, that's them. It's camp and weird.
But I didn't understand that. It was
Right.
2013.
Good point.
This was a new thing to me. I was very like Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street. I still was above Friday. I acknowledged Friday
Got
was
it.
trash back then.
Okay.
Even, but
At least we had that.
I didn't understand quirky. And, you know, when he starts going crazy and I think the ugly deer head, I think, is back in this movie, right?
I for the love of me, can't remember.
Because it laughs at him.
I think. I don't know. I don't remember.
Because I think there's a thing on the screen, like, there was, like, the busts of for some reason, I just remember the busts of the animals laughing in the house while he's also laughing. And I was like, this is too weird.
That's fair.
But now I'm going in, I'm like, I know this is going to be weird.
Yeah. So.
And I have to get prepared for Army, because Army's going to get even weirder.
Oh, God, yeah. That's a trip in and of itself.
Army's the only one I don't know anything about.
And we're going to keep it that way. All right.
All right.
Let's
I did
jump
not check
into
how
it.
long this movie is today, so we'll see you in 5 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye. We watched it.
Yes, we did.
This definitely was one of those movies where I started it and I was like, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And then by the end, I was like, okay, this just took a really long time to get fun.
Yeah. You got to get into the groove with it. And then once you're in it, you're in it.
I do like how... So, you know, at the beginning of the episode, I did state, I hope this isn't, you know, reason why we should skip the first movie, part 5. I don't think this is part 5 for the reason of this was just a comedic parody of the first movie. It's like, the best way I can put it is if you watch, like, DBZ Abridged, and then you watch DBZ Abridged Kai.
Mm-hmm.
This was the Kai version of it.
So... The Raimi brothers and Rob Tapper and Bruce Campbell all grew up together, and they were all very big fans of the Three Stooges. So you see it in this, and then it carries on to a bunch of other work that they do. They just like slapstick and goofiness and being fun and not taking movies seriously, but they do in a way. It's a weird mix.
But before then, we start with a homage to The Twilight Zone.
Yes.
Seriously, I can't really remember the beginning very well. Like, that beginning bit with the book and, like, the claymation, I was just like, I remember the very juicy demon ass.
Oh, the when it's drawing in the book.
Yeah. It had a very juicy ass.
The drawings were cool. I thought that was fun.
They were. And then the Necronomicon came alive, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but all I picture is your tongue out in the last movie. Ooh, I see my mic. My bad. Either way, we're now back, and Ash is like, last time we Airbnb'd. Now we're just breaking in.
Yeah, we're just having a little beanie.
Also, he's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, in the 6 years.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of weight. Finally learned what to do with his hair. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, he's still not old enough to know how to dress for his body yet, and his shirt is he's swimming in his shirt.
Maybe, well, probably not. I was going to say maybe it's from the first movie, but that thing was probably trashed to bits.
I was going to say, if it was from the first movie, that just shows how much weight he would have lost, because in that first movie, it wasn't incredibly tight on him, but it was kind of form-fitting enough.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, we have bootleg girlfriend,
Linda,
mm-hmm. with her ugly ass back of the hair where it looks like she just touched an open socket.
It's a lot of hairspray.
God, it was so ugly. It was so... I saw the front of her hair and I was like, oh, wow, that guy. They got a budget for hair. I was going to say that, and then they cut, and you see the back, and I'm like, it's matted. It looks like she just got electrocuted, and they were like, fuck it, she has to film the scene now.
The budget, hairspray.
Either way, he performs on the piano. She's dancing, but she's not dancing to him. In her head, she's listening to Betty Davis Eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have the stupid fucking necklace from this movie that goes on to be another plot point in like the 2013 version.
It's like the only continuity between this movie and Evil Dead 1.
And Evil Dead 2013.
Exactly.
God, I just... How do I put it? This movie has highs and then lows and then what the fuck? And then it's over.
Yeah, I mean, they're dancing. It's very short in the beginning, which I'm kind of glad about. I didn't want the entire first movie again. And it was different enough to the point where I feel like I wasn't watching the same thing. Just the same kind of premise.
Yeah. So we get the same Panasonic stupid recorder, except now we get kind of cuts of them actually, of the family. It's like, oh, see, they do have more of a budget. See, we were able to film not in the cabin.
And we see the castle of, what is it, Kandor?
We're probably going to learn that in the next movie. That'll get it.
Yeah, but
just like
we see it later in this one as well. So
his girlfriend gets kidnapped.
Because he played the.
And then she jumps
recorder.
out, and she's ugly. So he decapitates her.
Yeah, then we bury her. It all happens very fast. We bury her.
This is jump cut, jump cut, jump cut, jump cut, and it's about the beginning of the second movie.
Yeah. He buries her, and then her hand does the classic, pops out from the dirt.
Does that do that now, or does it do it later?
I think it does it now, because then she comes out, and then she's dancing. Because he cut her head
Well,
off.
yeah, but does it... Well, yeah, he cuts her head off, but doesn't he get, what's his name first, like, partially, what's the word? Possessed?
Oh, I thought this happened first.
Because he kills her, chops the head off, and then goes... And then the sun comes out and does the scene from the end of the first movie where it goes through the house and takes him.
Okay.
But then it sends him, he's like, ah! And then he starts... You get, like, a little bit of a Deadite. And he's, like, in a very deep puddle of mud.
Mm-hmm. I hope Bruce.
And
got
then
a
the
tetanus
sun
shot
comes.
after that.
Please. Sun comes, and he's like, this is crazy. Then he goes to the bridge. And then the bridge is up. And he's like, why, me? Why? And then he runs back into the house and locks himself in. And then that's when he starts to hallucinate this shit. Because remember, he falls asleep.
Oh, that's right. In the chair.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That very uncomfortable looking
The
chair.
rocking chair, yeah.
That thing looked like it would hurt my bony little ass.
Oh, yes. But is this where it starts to get goofy? When she's dancing? I think, is this like the first sense of it goofy?
Yes, because you hear the piano playing. He's having a moment. And then a hand comes out, and we get the inspiration from Nightmare Before Christmas, basically.
Yeah, a bunch of claymation, but it looks good. I think it looks pretty good with a lot of this movement and or at least full body movement.
And then he wakes up, and it was just a dream. But then the head comes anyway and bites him.
Yeah, and then there's a lot. Bruce is doing so much for this film. His one-man acting is on another level.
Wow, we're almost like... Remember, I was like, we were going through the movie, and I was like, wow, the Wikipedia article's only like 5 paragraphs, and this part's like 2 paragraphs in. We're at the end of the second paragraph already. Like, they really explain the beginning of the movie, because it doesn't make any fucking sense. And then, at some point, this movie never makes sense. I'll say this. This movie's completely and utterly nonsensical. But around 40 minutes in, it makes sense, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Like, you understand this is stupid and not that great. So then the following 40 minutes, you're like, I understand everything that's going on because my brain wires have been reconfigured to this movie.
Yeah, that's a good description about how this movie goes.
It's just for the first 40 minutes, your brain's just like, how do we process this? Mm-hmm. This is weird. She's dancing.
Why?
With her head. And now she's biting him.
I liked the scene when he's in the, when he takes the head, which he's battling the entire time, all by himself, which is really cool. And he puts it in the vice, and it turns back into regular Linda. That was pretty cool.
And then, before it turns into regular Linda, headless Linda comes in with a chainsaw.
Oh, yeah. Just whipping around.
And, this movie, they were expecting an X rating. And, like, we were watching. I was like, I don't really see. I thought maybe the mannequin, like the one that was dancing, was going to have, like, nipples on the titties. And that was going to be, like, the ooh, bad thing. But it didn't. It was just a fully claymation. This one, perfectly
sculpted.
Anatomical correct for this one. So I was like, X rating. Here we are.
This is it.
Now I understand why
plus
you guys
the
get
gore.
it. The gore was so intense, it got comedic.
Yes.
Either way, he kills his girlfriend. Like, it's so, like, literally the reason why we're going boom, boom, boom is like the first 40 minutes of this movie until we get like the convergence at the cabin. It's very boom, boom, boom. Mm-hmm. It's like, this happens, girlfriend, characters getting off a plane. And then they're like, there's a book. I got more pages of the book. We should go meet my family with the pages of the book. Okay, let's go. Ash, back in the house, fighting his hand.
You've said it a few times while we were watching it, but he was definitely carrying, 2/3 of this movie by himself.
Well, because you see, like, everyone, like, you say two characters over, and they're, like, at an airport, and he's like, did you find anything? And she's like, of course I found something. And then, like, you just jump cut, hard cut, and it's just Ash in a kitchen with his hand just like, ah!
Just whipping around. He does a full somersault in place.
So it's like, yeah, let's go have a nice, peaceful night. And this guy's, like, 1v1ing his hand currently. He's the Liv Tyler of this movie, is what I said. Now, either way, his hand becomes possessed, and it gets its own voice acting.
Oh, it's great. It's so good. And it says little, like, it's not just gibberish. There's some parts where it's going, like, son of a bitch, or, stuff like that.
It fucks him up, by the way.
Yeah.
He doesn't stand a chance against his hand. His hand fucks him up. Eventually, the hand, after doing the somersault and beating his ass in the kitchen and fucking him up with some saltine crackers, decides it's going to start crawling towards a meat cleaver?
Yeah, butcher's knife type of thing.
Yeah. But he stabs his hand with just a knife, Michael Myers style.
It's all ooey gooey.
He's like, got you, little bitch. Ow, that really hurts. I do think that Bruce was great in this because he had to act like, yeah, I'm successful, but I just fucked myself up because that is still my hand. Mm-hmm.
And he still feels it,
Yeah. And then he cuts it off with the chainsaw. Iconic. And then, okay, I'm just going to say, this is where, it gets very, there are people who are part of the movie, and then there's Ash. This is where it happens. Because he's, like, fighting his hands, it's crawling through the wall, giving him the middle finger.
Covered in blood.
He gets the Shining wished it could do what this thing did.
He gets red blood, black blood, green blood, blue blood. Any type of color blood you can think of, he gets drenched in.
The one that, like, I was like, oh, God, that had to suck shooting was when they shoot it out of the walls through the holes.
Oh, yeah.
because you can see like it's filling the room up, and I'm like, okay, they put him in somewhere, which means they had to clear it out. Like, ugh, nasty. And then we meet Billie Jean, Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe, thank you. We meet them, and Bobby Joe's like, yeah, I'm sleeping with him, I guess. I mean, I'm way too attractive for this dude.
He's the
and probably like 30 years younger than him.
Yeah, but he's the only guy that, has a job in this town, so.
Now, don't mind me. I'm going to go be in 1,000 episodes of a soap opera. Bye. Outside of Bruce Campbell, I have the most flourishing career here. Either way, they're like, the bridge is down. And then we get like this weird chemistry between them. And I'm like, do we want to fuck?
Is this a thing?
Then she's like, carry my bags. And she laughs, smiles, and I'm like, okay, that's odd. And then the punchline happens like 2 minutes later, and I did laugh because I was like, okay, that's actually a good punchline.
Yeah.
Now while this is happening,
Ash is
it's like
having so much happen.
This is happening. We cut to Ash, and we have a deer head laughing at him. A lamp is laughing at him. A house is laughing at him. He's laughing at the house, and then he starts dancing with a lamp.
And they're all having a good time.
And I know I just sound like I am saying bullshit.
No, this happens.
It turns into, listen, when we watched Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, and you went, are the cars about to start singing? And I was like, are you fucking stupid? No. In this movie, I was like, is the house going to sing? But at least for me, I felt like I was being accurate. Because like, at any point, this could have happened.
And look what it did.
It had a dance. He had a dance number with a fucking lamp.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the deer head was my favorite.
Oh, yeah. It looked so cool, too.
And then he shoots the door. And he hits Bobby Joe in the arm. But they don't have enough. They're like, we have a budget for all the blood for Bruce, Bobby Joe. We don't have budget for like the little arm scar. So cover it.
Yeah, you just cover it and you get like a little stain. That's it.
Yeah. It's just red Sharpie. Ouch. And they take him down. And in reality, it's probably the most calm Ash has felt all night.
Yeah, I mean, he does get knocked out, kind of, so he gets a little bit of a rest.
And then thrown into the basement.
God, I feel so bad for him.
Even though I do like when everyone was laughing, the door to the basement had its own peculiar laugh that, like, the door fluttered with its laugh. I loved it. And they brought the laugh from his girlfriend from the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
They brought the soundbite in. That I know, because I know that laugh very well. Either way, Girl is what we'll call her, because no one's name in this movie besides Ash really matters.
Is it?
Except Henrietta. I remember Henrietta very well.
That's the mother.
Yeah.
Annie is the archaeologist lady.
Yeah, Girl.
Girl.
Girl. And Girl's like, where is my mom and dad?
And then she sees
she turns
bloody chainsaw, and she's like, oh, murderer.
Then she's like, I'm going to turn on this recording. And then Dad's like, I killed Mom, but I couldn't disassemble her. So I just buried her in the basement.
And Ash hears this whole thing. He's like, oh, shit.
I mean, Ash was having a good time. He made friends with a rat.
He did.
It was a very nice rat.
A little bit of rest, away from people.
And then Henrietta popped out of the ground.
Yes, and fun fact, the person playing Henrietta is Ted Raimi, which is Sam Raimi's brother.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
The more you know.
The more you know. I thought the makeup looked really good.
Yeah, she looked really good. And then Girl is like, get Ash out of there. Ah. And Ash is like, can you please get me the fuck out of here? Yeah. This is too much for one night, guys. Get me the fuck out of this place. Me and Ratty don't like it down here.
But he was freaking out, understandably.
Well, they get him out finally. And then Henrietta gets like giant claw hands. She's just like, I'm claw everybody in the face.
And the way they bring him up is like they
by his hair.
Yeah, they like grab his head and just like if it's a claw machine at the arcade.
And then boyfriend gets thrown into the wall. Quite literally, he was a blink and you miss it character. I think he maybe had like 2 minutes of full screen time.
Yeah, I didn't know that killed him, but apparently it did because he turns into a Deadite next.
With a lot of teeth.
A lot of teeth. Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah.
It's probably the nastiest one, but it's so cool to look at because he floats and everything.
Yeah, and the bottom jaw is very, malleable. There's a lot of movement going on there.
And then it talks, and it's like, you'll all be dead by sunup. Because...
Dead by dawn.
I don't like the sun. I don't like the sun.
You could see the wire holding him up, though. That was pretty evident.
Yeah.
Usually you can get past that, but it was a thick wire.
These movies are not meant to be viewed at like 2K, let alone 4K.
Oh yeah, no, I know that.
We should be viewing this movie. If we wanted this to be accurate, we watch this movie at 240p, and then we see how we feel.
On VHS.
That wire, not noticeable. Mystery.
He's floating by himself.
Crazy.
Magic.
And then Ash is like, I'll be right back. Runs away. And then Girl's like, you're a coward.
And
You're
he comes
a
back with a
bitch.
fucking axe.
Ready
He's
to
like,
go.
go.
I'm about to get green blood all over me.
Watch this.
I'm going to chop this motherfucker up. And then in the next shot, this entire house is going to be totally clean of blood.
Yeah, they did that so many times too. Like Anne, when later on, when boyfriend gets sucked into the cellar and the blood just sprays all over her, she gets up, she's clean.
Yep. There's a lot of scenes in this movie where it's like blood. Well, we had to stop shooting, so
like that had to be filmed at the end. We're not cleaning this shit up.
The best one was like, it felt like until probably 60% into the movie, they didn't know where they wanted the cuts on Ash to actually be.
Yeah.
So every scene, it changed where his cuts were. And you're like, okay, sure.
He hallucinated the cuts? We'll go with that.
Let's just go with, this movie's weird. And it's so weird, no one's going to notice any of this.
Exactly.
Either way, Billy Bobby Brown is like, stop holding my hand.
Oh, yeah, that was cute.
And then it's hand.
Yeah, it's hand. And then
We
she
love
freaks the fuck out, breaks the lamp.
And then she gets bodied by trees.
Yeah, she dips, and we get our terrible scene that we all hate.
This one was not as nasty because it kind of was just more
Restraint.
Yeah, it was like, oh, the vines went into her face, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, like, it's gross, but
Yeah.
We've seen that on Elm Street 3. We've done body horror
Yeah.
worse than this. Also, we see the ghost of her ghost of her dad.
Oh, of Anne? Yeah.
Yeah, of the floating face, and he's just like, you have to read the rest of the book.
Whoa.
Crazy. Also, we do have Monster House.
Yes.
Where at the beginning of the movie, the house has a face.
I do have to say, I mean, I'll say it now. There's a lot of interesting stuff that they're doing with this movie. Yeah, they have more of a budget, but obviously not that much. I think what they do with it is well done. They're taking risk, that's for sure.
And then boyfriend number 2 is like, I got the shotgun now. We're going to go out and find my girlfriend. She's totally my girlfriend, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get, when you brought up Three Stooges, this is where it begins. The minute Ash becomes a Deadite, because every time, oh God, what what are like the shows? I think maybe Family Guy had an episode like that with, I think there was like a dog that like maybe it had like brain issues. So every time the camera would sort of pan the dog or like whatever it was would just be staring at
Oh
them.
my god.
This felt like it because every time there was like a camera in a shot, all you saw was Deadite Ash just like pop in the frame.
Yeah, just like ah. His makeup was really good.
It was, but at the same time, the facials, because he would always have like a slightly contorted face when he came up, and the way it was lit, I was like, this is, I think I'm supposed to laugh.
Oh yeah, you're not supposed to take this that seriously.
I think the first shot is scary, where he slams boyfriend into the tree. After that, it gets wacky.
And you know those white full contacts hurt so bad.
Yeah. Either way, we get back in the house, and girl is like, I don't want to be the main character here. It seems like it sucks to be the main character in this movie. I don't want to do this.
I don't have the qualifications.
And then she grabs a obviously upgraded prop sword from the first movie.
Oh yeah, this one definitely looks like they put a little bit more money into it.
I was like, oh my god, the blade has bones? Because the last one, it was like a knife, and then like the handle was the...
like a skull, and
skull.
that's it.
Yeah, this one was like, it is a full thing made of bones.
Oh yeah, and they had like a couple of them too. They had, you know, the harder one that she could use that looks like a sword. They had one that was foam when it gets stuck into second boyfriend.
Yep. It was definitely where I saw the most upgrade in budget on like a single item. Also, the cabin. The cabin, they got a much nicer cabin this time around.
Oh, the scene when this was kind of earlier in the movie where the evil spirit or whatever entity is chasing Ash throughout the entire house. That whole continuous one shot, so good.
I was worried when he went in between the walls that he was going to scratch himself on like a rusty nail.
He already needs like 5 tetanus shots at this point.
I was going to say, I hope this guy got like a lot of shots after this movie.
Yeah, both Ash and actually Bruce.
Yeah. Well, Ash we know didn't because he ends up in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
And tetanus still running pretty wild.
Oh, God, yeah.
Either way, Bobby or just boyfriend, we'll call him boyfriend number 2, is like, you stabbed me. I can't breathe. I'm like, just die already.
Yeah.
We don't need you. We don't need you here.
She tries dragging him. It doesn't work. Whatever. He gets, and then we get back to the point where he, like I said earlier, he gets put down into the cellar and the blood gets everywhere. Pretty gross.
Yep. And she just gets squirted with it.
Oh, it's just drenched is more like it.
And then the camera cuts and nothing happened, actually, you know. The blood was a hallucination.
Exactly.
Of her mind.
You don't know what's real in this movie.
But you know what is real? Her getting body slammed into the wall by Deadite Ash. And she gets up like 10 seconds later like, I have an axe now. And Ash is like, I picked up the symbolic symbol of my girlfriend. I'm okay now.
I'm cool. Love conquers all.
And then they were like, we need the rest of the pages. Let's go in the basement.
And they go on an adventure.
But first, let's make your hand a chainsaw.
So this is a very iconic of this franchise is the cuts where we're getting set up. He gets his gear. He gets the prosthetic chainsaw hooked up to his hand. He gets the shotgun and everything like that. Classic. And he gets his one line, groovy.
You know, I will say, I am surprised Bobby Joe didn't turn to a Deadite, considering she swallowed a fucking eyeball.
Yeah, you would think so. That would have been a really cool Deadite if it was, like, eyes and shit. Ugh.
Yeah. Because, like, they crush the head of Henrietta, and then her eyeball pops out, and it goes into Bobby Joe's mouth.
For some comedy.
Yeah. But then she doesn't turn into a Deadite. It's the boyfriend. I'm like, that's stupid.
So they go into the cellar. Or at least Ash goes into the cellar. She just stays up there.
And he is like most white people. He went into the basement.
Yeah.
and he got all the
He
pages.
did. He completed the quest.
And then what happens on rickety wooden steps, he gets tripped up and he has to fight Henrietta.
Yeah, she grabs him through the stairs and completely flips him.
It's okay. It's an okay fight.
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be, like, scary because you're in a confined dark space with this demon thing.
But he doesn't even stay down there for that long.
No.
They kind of just make their way up very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then Henrietta's about to beat Ash's ass. And Girl is like, I'm going to sing a nursery rhyme. And that's going to distract you long enough for Ash to do his thing.
Literally chop her into pieces.
Yes. And then she starts saying something. I forgot what she was going to... I don't know what Henrietta's head was saying before he blew it up.
It kept repeating, I'm going to swallow your soul.
Oh.
Yeah. And then he goes...
I really tried to listen for that, and I couldn't hear
had
it.
subtitles on. And then he goes, swallow this with the gun.
And then Girl is like, I've only read half of it. I'm like, that was three words is half of this shit?
And then when she reads the second half, it's like a good paragraph. And I'm like, wait, you don't know measurements.
Literally, I was like, okay, so 3 more words and we're done, right? It's like, no.
Not quite.
Not quite. There's like 7 lines to this one, actually. Now, sure, 4 of them is just repeating one line over and over again, but you gotta repeat it.
You do.
And he's like, we'll fucking do it. The trees are trying to eat us. And one of them has a fist now, and it's grabbing me.
Yeah, this was really cool. A lot of you could see where the budget went into some animatronics, a lot of more claymation, which is a lot of fun. That big head in the doorway, too, was pretty neat.
Yep.
And just a lot of fun camera movement going on.
And she sings the incantations. And then Ash's hands back. Psych, I'm back.
Yeah,
Stab in the back.
Stabs her right in the back.
But not enough for her to finish it and to summon the portal. And I guess when the portal gets summoned, Ash gets a gray streak?
I think it's when the head and the arms are coming through the door. Where
Gotcha.
he gets so frightened that he's getting the gray streak.
Either way, he has a gray streak now, everyone.
I don't know. I don't remember if it carries over into the next movie. Can't recall.
I don't remember if it was in the final shot of the movie.
Oh, good point.
Either way, she's like, I did my job as plot point character. Death. I don't have to come back for this. Hooray. And Ash is like, what do you mean there's another movie? I don't want to be here anymore.
And the portal is huge, too. It's not like a tiny little portal, that you get sucked into. It's pretty big. It sucks up entire trees, his car, him.
And we get like a little montage, and then we get an explosion.
Yeah.
But not like the Thing explosion.
No, this is just like a...
This is a explosion in After Effects.
Like, they had a firecracker, and they're like, oh, let's use this. Let's film this.
Fuck a firecracker, girl. They probably have one of those things, like the white little things you throw on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
They probably have one of those. They would, like, film it very closely.
Slow-mo this bitch.
Slower. And then Ash wakes up, and he's surrounded by the medieval fair.
Yeah, it's definitely giving the Holy Grail.
It's definitely giving. We almost ran out of budget.
You can tell.
So we just asked some volunteers to come in with their suits and just cosplay for a few minutes.
Yeah, they're LARPing suits. Let's just have that here.
And then we have one Deadite bat lady. She's like, caca.
And he blows its head off.
Because he has a sawed-off shotgun now.
Yeah.
It's not like most shotguns. And then they're like, oh, it's our savior from the sky. And Ash just like, fuck, there's a sequel.
And that's how it ends, with him in front of the castle of Kandor. I think it is.
And everyone else is like, hail Ash. And he's just like, get me the fuck out of here. And that ends Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Dead by Dawn.
I mean, I don't think we need to do another segment. This is a pretty short episode, so we'll just do the movie roundup now. I enjoy this because I'm a fan of camp and silliness and goofiness. I know that you always say that I'm into the artsy movies, which, yeah, I guess that's true. But I do like goofy movies, too.
Okay, see, here's the thing. This movie was cinema. The last movie was cinema. There's a difference here.
Is there?
The last movie was trying to be good, and you can tell it was trying to actually be a good movie. This movie, they were like, okay, we have to get to Army of Darkness, so let's just fucking get this over with.
And let's have some fun.
Bruce, fight your hand. We ran out of budget on blowing up that tree. Your hand, fight it now.
Go for that Oscar, Bruce. It's good. Music is fine. We got the budget for better special effects, claymations. The makeup is much better for the Deadites in this one. This is what defines what a Deadite looks like in this movie, not the clown makeup in the first one.
I like the clown makeup.
We have a lot of good camera, just in general. Great shots, great angles, really fun and experimental things that they're doing with film and lighting. This is where you can see that they're having a lot of fun. They're experimenting a lot here, which I can appreciate. Bruce knocks it out of the fucking park. I think he's really going for it. He's really putting his all into it. And I think that's what saves the movie, is definitely Bruce and just the fun that they're having. I don't remember. What did I give Evil Dead? Do you remember? A 7?
You either gave it a 7 or a 6.
Okay. I think I'll give this one a 6.5 then.
Okay. So if you gave the last one a 7, do you still give it a 6.5?
See, and I was thinking while we were watching it, this is a really hard movie. At least there's like a motorcycle gang outside. What the fuck? I'm so sorry if you hear all this. The first movie and the second movie are completely two different tones, so comparing them isn't fair. So I don't.
Okay.
I'm still gonna give it a 6.5, but it doesn't mean that it's better or worse than the first one. It's just different.
This movie gets points deducted because when his girlfriend does the little run into the air and vanishes, I wanted her to reappear and kick him in the face. Like she comes in mid thing, just kicks him in the face.
I forgot that happened, and I absolutely love that she just was like, wee, and just goes off into the woods.
It just vanishes, and I'm like, please come back and kick him in the face. Like that's your ability.
Like roundhouse kick him.
This. Yeah, girl, if that happened, I would have given this movie a 10 out of 10 off of that one scene alone.
And you know what would have been great? Since that happened in Act 1, if it happened in Act 3.
Listen, I would have given this movie a 10 out of 10 if that was the shot.
Oh my god.
Now, she almost does. She does vanish and peer out the window, but she doesn't hit him. She just jump scares him. And I wanted a kick to the face. I didn't get that.
We were robbed.
God, this movie's not easy to rate. Because it's that thing of
No,
like, will I ever watch this again? No, probably not.
Yeah.
Would I watch Evil Dead 1 again? Probably. Mm-hmm. After some time, I'd watch it again. This movie, it's a great movie if I can just skip around past the points where I just don't give a shit. Which is basically when we cut away from Ash and talk to other characters. They're useless.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it. Oh my god, this is happening. I think only the second time in the history of this fucking show we agree on a score.
Yay!
Because it's a 6.5.
Because it's not bad, but it's not great, but it's also better than a 5.
Yeah.
So.
It's just weird.
Oh god, yeah.
No, but here's the thing. This movie tried to get you under the veil that it was traditional when you watch the trailer.
In like the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. I have a solid feeling that when we watch the trailer for Army of Darkness, it's not gonna be like, oh yeah, this is a horror. They're gonna be like, no, this movie's fucking weird.
Just go with it.
Just have some fun, please. I just feel like the trailer really didn't give me what the movie. Now, that could have been either the production company being like, we have to market it as a trailer, or if that was how they wanted to market, like if they thought this was actual like horror, because this is the 80s, this is where horror gets a little goofy, especially 87. This is where it gets really goofy. And that's the thing is like mid 80 horror, it's really hit or miss with you, like because this is like this is the same era as Killer Clowns.
When did Texas Chainsaw 2 come out?
Ooh, Texas
with the
Chainsaw 2.
radio station, right?
Yes, that one.
Because that was goofy as fuck.
That was 86,
Yeah.
1 year before.
So you're right. We're like right there in the midst of it.
We're like at peak goofball right now. And if I remember correctly, I'm about to look
I
at Killer
bet that
Clowns.
Sam
Killer Clowns comes out a year after this.
Yeah, I bet Sam and the crew saw Texas Chainsaw 2 and was like, I think we could top this in goofiness.
Yeah, and I mean, like, think about it. It's like this was also where the kind of more goofy centric, what's his name's come out? Fridays.
Yeah. But
Yeah, Jason Takes Manhattan comes out 2 years after this.
But you see, I respect them for trying something different. You know, we're not getting traditional horror. We're not getting, traditional movie in general. Trying new things and branching out and having fun with it is something I admire.
It's just 80s horror.
Yeah. Late 80s horror.
Yeah. Basically, this is what would go on. I'm sorry to say it. Sounds like I have a fucking, like, I'm at a concert right now from outside my window.
We got a lot going on. It's a Friday night.
The thing is, this is the style of horror that goes on to almost kill horror.
Yeah.
Basically, this happens until around 89. So this happens, this 87, so we're in the peak of goofball horror. And we kind of die until Scream.
Yeah. When's Candyman come out?
Came in, didn't do well.
Fuck, but that's...
It's really good, and it's something you go back and go, that was amazing. But it was during that dead period of horror where just no one would watch it.
Son of a bitch.
But it was also just because no one knew how to market it still. Like, studios were not really knowing how to market horror anymore.
Yeah.
And then Scream comes out, and they're like, oh, market it like Scream.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you get Urban Legends and Valentine and Scream ripoff number 596.
Right. Moneymakers, or at least in the moment.
Yep. And then horror dies again, and then unfortunately has to be revived by Saw.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it dies again, and it has to get revived by Paranormal Activity. And then Insidious, and then The Conjuring. And now it got, after Conjuring, it was probably Halloween and It.
Yeah.
And then we're in the reboot era now.
Yeah. But
what's next? We don't know.
Yeah, but what's next for us here will be Army of Darkness. We're going to round out the trilogy here. And I hope you guys enjoyed this movie. It's a good time. Like, put it on in the background if you've seen it before. Have a few laughs.
It's only 84 minutes.
Yeah,
It's a quick watch.
And don't take it seriously. Just kind of relax. Things are crazy.
Now, we do have to note, I think the reason why this was probably harder for us to watch is because we had like probably 15 minutes of fucking ads while watching the movie.
That is true. If you can get the DVD or without ads, please do that because it really kills the vibe.
There were bits where we were like, oh, here we go. Next scene. And we have 3 minutes of ads.
Yeah. So try to do that. Relax. Have a good time. And join us for Army of Darkness, which it's going to get silly and goofy and fun. And
that's also the last episode of 2023.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll round out the year with a fun one. So
Yeah.
thanks for joining us. We are Movie and a Haunt here on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you are getting us.
And we're also Movie and a Haunt on YouTube or Spotify, where you're not listening to us, and you should be.
Exactly. A baboom. And come say hi. We like that. And we'll see you guys next time.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye,
Five
everybody.
innocent people killed, not a sign of a